Omidvar.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you to both our panelists. Excellent presentations, and I really appreciate them. I have a question first for Ms. Mazigh, and if possible, second round for Ms. Laouni. Ms. Mazigh, your advocacy and fight for justice for your husband was truly admirable. My question to you, though, is since that time, 20 years ago, how have national security laws been adjusted or amended to take into account the lessons learned from the rendition of your husband in Syria?
Thank you. There is a short answer to this, and there is a longer one. I will start with the shorter one. In 2007, Justice O'Connor, who was commissioned by the federal government at that time, 3 years before, released two reports. One of them was about what happened to my husband. The other one was recommendation for the federal government. And I can tell you with 99% certitude that unfortunately, none of these recommendations have been adopted by the government to change those situations. So the same thing, the rendition can happen again, and we will still have the same unfortunate result. We would rely on individuals, on social activists, on human rights organizations to raise the profile of these cases, but not count on the government to help. The longer version is that without sounding here anyhow partisan or being with one party or the other, I think the last recent year, even though those recommendations has not been adopted, the whole climate in unjustly arresting persecuted Muslim little bit came down, so there was not as much application of these laws that I was mentioning in my statement, the Anti-Terrorism Act. Nevertheless, they still exist, so the narrative a little bit changed, but unfortunately, we still have series of laws in our criminal code that target exclusively, without saying it, of course, that target exclusively Muslim. They have been charged under it, they have been convicted under it. And if I want to say something, in Canada, the terrorist attack that happened and the victim that made, most of them are under Islamophobia, and they did not occur under, other sort of, I would say, criminal acts. So it is very, for me, concerning that we still have these specific laws, all of them making Muslim look violent. Many of them will contribute to this Islamophobia that we are talking, the fear, the irrational fear of Muslims.
Ms. Mazigh, do you believe that given the state of Islamophobia in this country, and we've heard witnesses before providing very disturbing testimony and evidence, do you believe that Justice O'Connor's report should be opened up again as part of the recommendations of this study?
Absolutely. I think it is very important. I mean, we spent 3 years, public funds, to produce a very important report. Some of his recommendation was somehow introduced the creation of, an integrated sort of an agency where people can present their complaint as part of not only the RCMP, but also other agency. However, this is very little, very, very little. We still have agency in Canada. For example, I'll give you a very simple example. We still have the no-fly list. My husband cannot travel because even though 20 years after what happened and even 15 years, many other Muslims cannot travel. And the worst is that they don't know why they cannot travel. So this, for example, no-fly list, it's another flagrant and another obvious example of Islamophobia. And I'm not here telling you that everybody on that no-fly list is necessarily Muslim, but there are many Muslims who find themselves into that. When I was working for the International Civil Liberties Monitoring Group, at that time, Transport Canada, I think, did not even want to give us the number of Canadians who are on this list. Some people talk about 1,500, 1,500, but they could not even tell us because they said this is a national security threat. So those sort of, information that probably the majority of Canadians do not know and do not hear about. But if you go to the airport and try to travel and you are humiliated in front of your family and they don't tell you, you cannot take the plane and we don't tell you why, this is a problem.